Hello, today we talk about the RPG system of the game, which we call DNA, Descendants New Arc. Thank you so much for your support, for your pledges, for your help and participation. It's very important for us. And now I call your attention to the role-playing system of the game, which essentially is the basis of the whole gameplay. After connecting advantage of modern computing power with understanding of the main factors of the game interest, we got a fully developed, innovative game mechanics that will be interesting to anyone and especially to all fans of RPG genre. In fact, DNA is what we always wanted to see but could not find anywhere. Character control, party members, mercenaries, movement and fight conducting, the mutual influence of players on each other, group collaboration, all integrated into a unified, balanced system that guarantees unforgettable experience. The essence of DNA, kept to absolute freedom of choice, a system of non-linear character development, almost an infinite number of character builds, refusing anti-human, pure grinding and farming, we get the opportunity to play honestly unique character, focusing only on the most interesting things. We'll talk a lot about DNA system, to show how simple and elegant solutions help us to achieve the announced result. Today I will talk only about introductory, practical aspects of the RPG system. So we have the basic configuration window of character war gear. Characters can wear any clothes inside buildings and spaceships. Various players, communities can even add their uniforms for their members using mod system. Mods and everything connected with it will be discussed in a separate conversation. This is a very serious issue for us. However, the basis of war gear is armor suit. Armor spacesuit not only protects the character in battle, but provides protection from deadly environment of space and planets. Armor spacesuit is fully configured to the needs of the player. Backpack also includes a survival kit with all the necessary reserve for normal functioning of the suit to ensure the survival in the wild. For some time. The player determines how to distribute space in the backpack on armor, energy, oxygen, biomaterials necessary for nutrition and recovery and so on. Weapons, ammunition, implants, armor improvements, as well as the suit are created under blueprints. Blueprints of cartridges, grenades, implants and so on indicate what type of ammunition or biomaterial and in what amount is used. Many different situations can lead to the need to survive in the wild, so contents of backpack are as important as weapons. The player can carry only items included in war gear. Access to inventory is available only in the immediate proximity to the physical storage of player assets. Restoring the fallen character in replicator, going along with the war gear and spacesuit that have the appropriate explanation in the story of the universe, so equipment cannot be the subject of loot. Now let's see what from itself represents spacesuit customization. Each piece is subject to improvement. Spacesuit allows embedding improvements and the character's body can be combined with cybernetic devices and implants. All this affects the characteristics of player and gives him more opportunities. This circle shows the state of the character and the important parameters influencing on the fight. But that is another interesting topic which will be discussed separately. Returning to the characteristics, we can always see the most important parameters here, under the radar, displaying offensive and defensive potential of player. Damages of armor and injuries can result in the refusal of certain suit improvements and lead to various altered states of the player. That makes each battle unique and unpredictable because parameters of the character may change significantly during the battle. In general, combat mechanics consist of many elements that are intuitive, yet they are composed of lots of hidden calculations and formulas which the player is not obliged to take into account. The material, the thickness of armor, weight, shape, length, the type of weapon, the proximity of party members, morale, and preoccupation with battle. These and more are considered and affect the outcome of each battle. However, all this requires almost no special research and study by the player, as it is the simplified version of the general laws of physics. For example, a large and heavy sword hits harder than the same but lightweight, but for its use need more physical strength. So if my character faster than stronger, for me it would be appropriate to choose a sharp sword rather than heavy and to get the same benefit. Many modern games are successors of such RPG systems like Special, D&D, and other representatives of the old school, which were originally designed for board games. The balance of interest in such games was somewhere between the logical realism and simplicity of calculations. And players using uncomplicated arithmetic could determine the outcome of the battle. Now, having modern computing power, we have created a system that reduces the complex simulation of real combat to automatic calculations, where players need to decide on the priority of actions based on the intuitive properties of objects. And as a result, to see an intriguing fight with indirectly predictable result. We'll talk more about this in the updates, but I can say at once that the geometry of battle space, the location of combatants, also affect the course of the battle. Priority for us is to make realistic combat animations with constant alive movement of combatants, of fighters, and development of the mechanics of the algorithm for such animation was the most difficult aspect for us of the whole role-playing system creation. You will not see anything that will confuse your logic by contradiction. For example, imagine two high-level tanks are beating each other with swords, spattering blood until finally one of them falls like a felled tree. Such ridiculous situations is simply impossible in the game Descendants. Status panel shows us the important martial parameters of the character, directly affecting the fight and abilities. One of the interesting things that can be noted here is the combat score, capabilities, features, weapons, and all that affects the character add points to the overall character combat score. That indirectly indicates the combat potential of the hero. It is a numerical expression of the combat power of the character. Combat score is a versatile unit of measurement, and every object in the game has such characteristic. Military skills are increased by amount of points equal to the destroyed object combat score. However, combat score of the character is not constant, it's changing during the fight. For example, if the character is in a state of feat with a bunch of active abilities and buffs, his combat score increases significantly, and character's death at this moment will bring to his opponent a lot more experience. We can also customize the character's behavior, define automatic reactions to standard actions and events, customize sets of war gear for different situations, and create certain triggers using the formula if-then. There are plenty of situations in the game to focus on and make a choice instead of tracking the cooldown of abilities combined with convulsive push of the same button. Although the game is originally oriented on cybersport and considers all the modern trends, the emphasis is not on the reaction rate and the use of abilities, but rather on the player's experience and readiness to react to the different combat situations, adapting to them. Here we have characteristics that appear through taking classes, but there are 6 combat characteristics every character has initially. Let's in general get to know them better. In this module we see all classes taken by the player. These icons with classes working as a filter for characteristics for easy navigation. I will in turn activate the classes in the order in which they were taken, and then the overall logic of character progression will become clear. Warrior gives access to the Tier 1 abilities for basic combat characteristics. It also means that the leveling limit of skill becomes 90% and characteristic limit is 3 now. All combat characteristics initially equal to 3, but now we can raise the skill level of each characteristic. Skills are developed by using abilities of characteristics. In general, each characteristic is evolving by certain activities. Skill development gives access to new abilities and enhances them. Skill development also permanently changes the value of characteristic, increasing it. On the one hand, character deaths reduce the skill of the base class. On the other hand, then skills of the required class increase up to 70% of the maximum limit you can take another class. Each class, in addition to the new lines of abilities to 3 characteristics, also increases their limit by 3 points. Take the next class, Sirdar, the class of the second stage. Considering that our character relates to Pyro race, we can take up to 6 classes. Race also affects the speed of leveling skills. Plus means you get 25% more experience and minus means 25 less. Sirdar gives us another 3 characteristics for leveling, although they are also Tier 1. Morale relates to basic combat characteristics and we already have it, but now we can develop it and explore and use new abilities. Both Warrior and Sirdar are required to get access to the 3rd stage class, which is unique prestige class of Pyro race, the Overlord. We get access to health characteristics, cybernetics and strength abilities of the Tier 2, and now we can level them up to 180% and to lift value of strength up to 6 points. We also take mutant class to use most powerful implants, health rises to Tier 2, and we obtain speed Tier 2 and 1 more line of abilities for strength. Mutant and apostate class, so if it will become the main class and gets into character profile, you better hide your profile because the class is forbidden by more than half of the factions, and for the character's head could be announced a reward. While on the other hand, apostates are always stronger than alternative classes of the same stage. Now a few words about the abilities. As this is a very important and serious part of the role system, we'll talk about it separately in more detail. Each class provides a unique line of abilities for each of the 3 characteristics. We get a few abilities to immediately start leveling skills, but the most interesting and valuable abilities we get by accomplishing achievements detailed in ability. And each new level of ability requires a new achievement. In general, Each ability is presented as a collector's card, and we plan to continuously increase their number, as well as adjust the balance due to this. We want players to focus on the gameplay rather than searching for the most powerful build. So most of the abilities are hidden and revealed depending on the preferred activities of the player, if at least one of the conditions for the hidden ability is fulfilled, you can see what remains to be done to unlock the ability. Some abilities open only to a specific race, or if there is a certain value of characteristics achieved. That is, even within the same class, practically will not be identical characters. Open abilities can be placed in available slots, thereby forming like an active deck. Actually, the number of available slots determines the combat potential of the player. Synergy of the deck grows with the increasing number of abilities amplifying each other. Slots are also opened by achievements and are some analogy to usual levels of character. Although the experienced player with the right abilities and 8 slots, for example, could beat the inexperienced player with 16 filled slots. Move on to classes. We can choose the next class from the list manually. We see classes here and their description. Darkened classes are not available to us already due to previously taken classes. We have provided a special character builds creation module so that players do not get lost in a variety of role-playing systems. Players can determine the build by required characteristics and preferred activities, and not to think about it any longer.
We absolutely have not touched roles. It's a separate issue, for separate conversation. But we got acquainted with class system, allowing specialization in particular activities. Their acquaintance with the role-playing system will be continued, and we will be very grateful for your questions and indication of possible inconsistencies in our logic. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you for your willingness to share with us this unique gaming experience. Goodbye.